Thursday, March 23, and time for your Barbados Day afternoon update. I'm Kamar Jordan. Thanks for joining us. Our top story at this hour: investigations into a suspected gas leak that forced the temporary closure of the Colonnade Mall in the city. There are thankfully no reports of injury, but police and a team of 11 officers and 3 fire tenders under the command of Station Sergeant Henderson Patrick responded to the incident just after 9 a.m. Sergeant Patrick gave Barbados Today a full update.
This morning, we received a call around 12 minutes past 9 o'clock from the occupants of Little Switzerland, indicating that they were smelling an unusual gas-scented smell. The appliances were in the area and they responded. What we did is that we evacuated the entire building to ensure that all the occupants were safe. We conducted checks with gas meters to determine what the level of toxic gases were inside of the building. The conclusion is that there were no toxic gases picked up by the meters. But we also requested the assistance of the National Petroleum Corporation to also conduct an investigation to determine if there were any leaks with the piping of the natural gas line. And that is currently being done. And we are waiting information from them before we make any further decisions. Once we get a report from the National Petroleum Corporation, we will repopulate the building, give the all clear, and allow the people to resume normal operations. What we have discovered is that there was a burnt out ballast in one of the occupancies on the first floor, and we are treating that as the probable cause of the incident. But the investigations will continue to make a final determination as to whether that was the case or not.
Stand up and be counted. That's the appeal coming from one of this island's newest political parties to the island's churches. In a letter to religious leaders, the Barbados Integrity Movement, otherwise known as BIM, warned that Barbados is in grave peril, citing the prevailing economic crisis and what it calls a lack of decisive management and patriotic vision. BIM knocked church leaders for telling their congregations to stay out of politics, insisting that churches must return to a place of prominence and be more vocal about the problems facing the country. BIM is urging the church to demand more from the island's political directorate and to consolidate to become the moral compass that it once was. It says God is calling Barbados back to a place of purity and righteousness. In other news, this Thursday, Barbados could be losing out on valuable foreign exchange, so says Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Senator Irene Sandiford Garner. Speaking in the Upper House last evening, she reported that the island earned more than $900 million from visitor spend last year. But she said this could have been higher if the private sector has cashed in on tourism opportunities. According to Mrs. Sandiford Garner, tourists are still being left stranded by businesses, particularly on bank holidays and weekends. And she wants to know why the private sector is not taking advantage of new laws which facilitate the opening of stores during these off-peak periods.
What do we need to do? What more does the government need to do to spur action within the private sector? What do we need to do? Do we need to go downtown and open the stores and serve the visitors? What do we need to do? We changed the laws in this parliament, in this house, in this chamber. I remember debating that to facilitate when those cruise ships come through this country, so those visitors will leave some money in Barbados, and they are not taking full advantage of the facility. And I need to hear from somebody within the sector what it is that is preventing our business people from taking advantage of that market.
Meantime, Mrs. Sandiford Garner announced that a new luxury restaurant will soon be setting up shop in Barbados. While she declined to name the new establishment, she said it was clear evidence that the island remains attractive to investors and that the government is on the right track.
I learned of the advent of a new high-end luxury restaurant, which is coming to Barbados within the year. The only other country in the Caribbean to have this brand is St. Bart's. And everybody knows that St. Bart's is the destination for the rich and famous. While our Port Ferdinand will be welcoming this chain restaurant of the name, I won't call the name right now, a high-end luxury restaurant which will be setting up business in this country within the coming year.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Read all about it, read all about it. Get your paper, only $2.25, let's get your paper.
You again with that stale news from yesterday. I got the Barbados today on my phone and I just get my news for free.
What do she?
The Barbados Today, news you can trust.
On the regional front, parliamentarians in Trinidad and Tobago have expressed concern about yesterday's terrorist attacks at the London Parliament. They say the incident is good reason for local officials to pay more attention to security at Red House. More now in this TV6 News report.
People are under stress at this point in time in Trinidad and Tobago with respect to losing jobs and not having confidence in the future. So I think that what has happened there in the UK Parliament, I understand is being treated as a terrorist attack until they know otherwise. I think we should be very careful in this country also.
Another opposition MP said this nation's high murder rate shows the gaps in state security.
I am sure that you have some of the best officers assigned to the parliament, but parliaments and institutions that relate to the power structure of a society will always be targets.
Meantime, London attempts to return to normalcy as authorities roll out a full counter-terrorism investigation into yesterday's deadly terror attack. 8 people have so far been arrested in raids around Britain, even as ISIS claims responsibility for the incident. In an address to Parliament today, Prime Minister Theresa May disclosed that the perpetrator, who killed 3 people and injured 40, was British-born and was once linked to extreme terrorism. Describing the attack as a strike against democracy, she declared that Britain simply will not cower.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday an act of terrorism tried to silence our democracy. But today we meet as normal, as generations have done before us and as future generations will continue to do, to deliver a simple message. We are not afraid, and our resolve will never waver in the face of terrorism. And we meet here in the oldest of all parliaments because we know that democracy and the values it entails will always prevail. Those values, free speech, liberty, human rights and the rule of law, are embodied here in this place, but they are shared by free people around the world. A terrorist came to the place where people of all nationalities and cultures gather to celebrate what it means to be free. And he took out his rage indiscriminately against innocent men, women and children. Mr. Speaker, this was an attack on free people everywhere. And on behalf of the British people, I would like to thank our friends and allies around the world who have made it clear that they stand with us at this time.
Well, that's news at this hour, but for more you can log on to www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper or email updates, or you can like us on Facebook. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay in a supermarket or a gas station near you. Also, if you're moving around Barbados today, check us out on Channel 99 on Flow TV or Mix 96.9 FM. I'm Kmar Jordan. Please be safe out there and be sure to stay locked to Barbados Today.